At 65, life takes on a new rhythm, one that feels both slower and richer all at once. Have you ever stopped to think about how much changes as we age? I'm not just talking about gray hair or creaky knees. I mean the profound shifts in how we see the world, value our time, and connect with others. For years, I was the kind of person who said yes to everyone. Friends, family, neighbors, you name it. If someone needed me, I showed up without hesitation. But over time, something shifted inside me. It wasn't bitterness or resentment, it was clarity. Now I avoid certain people, not because I don't care about them, but because I've learned to protect my peace. This isn't selfishness, it's self-preservation. At this stage of life, every moment feels like a gift, and I refuse to squander it on relationships or obligations that drain my energy instead of filling my soul. If you've ever wondered whether you're alone in feeling this way, or if stepping back from some connections might actually be okay, you're in the right place. Today, we'll dive deep into why protecting your peace matters more than ever, how relationships naturally evolve over time, and why solitude can become one of the greatest joys of your life. By the end of this video, my hope is that you'll walk away feeling empowered to embrace this chapter of your life with intention, gratitude, and authenticity. Time feels precious like never before. When you reach this stage of life, one thing becomes crystal clear: time is no longer infinite. When we were younger, it felt like we had endless tomorrows stretching ahead of us. We'd waste hours on meaningless conversations, stay in relationships that didn't fulfill us, and take on obligations out of guilt rather than genuine desire. But now, every single moment feels like a treasure. And let me tell you, this realization doesn't come from fear, it comes from wisdom. Think about it. How many times did you rush through a day only to look back and wonder where the hours went? Now, I find myself savoring even the smallest moments. The warmth of sunlight streaming through the window in the morning, the aroma of freshly brewed coffee, the sound of birds chirping outside. These little things used to pass unnoticed, but now they carry a significance I never appreciated before. Time isn't just a number ticking away on a clock anymore. It's the foundation of how I choose to live my life. This shift in perspective has taught me to be intentional with my time. Not everything, and certainly not everyone, deserves a slice of it. Some activities bring joy, while others simply deplete your energy. As we grow older, it's essential to step back and ask ourselves, is this worth my energy? Does it align with my values? Does it make me happy? If the answer is no, then it's okay to let it go. Because here's the truth, time spent on what doesn't matter is time stolen from what does. For example, I used to attend every social gathering I was invited to, even when I didn't feel like it. I thought saying no would disappoint people or make me seem ungrateful. But now, I prioritize meaningful interactions over superficial ones. A quiet conversation over tea with someone who truly listens beats a crowded party where I feel invisible any day. This isn't about isolating myself, it's about honoring my life by choosing wisely. I've also started to see time as a trusted companion. It reminds me to slow down, to savor the moments I once rushed through, and to choose carefully because every decision carries weight. There's a sense of calm that comes with knowing you're living intentionally, focusing only on what truly enriches your days. And here's the best part. Once you start treating time as the precious resource it is, your entire life begins to shift. Suddenly, everything feels simpler, more fulfilling, and deeply aligned with who you are. So if you've been feeling overwhelmed by the busyness of modern life, know that it's okay to step back. You don't have to say yes to everything. In fact, learning to say no might be one of the most liberating decisions you'll ever make. Protect your time fiercely, fill it with purpose, and surround yourself with people who uplift you. Because when you do, you'll discover a level of fulfillment that makes every moment count. Relationships change, and so do we. As the years pass, relationships inevitably evolve, and so do we. Reaching this stage of life has brought me face to face with a hard truth. Not every relationship is meant to last a lifetime. And guess what? That's okay. It's not a sign of failure or inadequacy. It's simply part of life moving forward. When I was younger, I believed that relationships required constant effort to maintain. I remembered every birthday, attended every gathering, and reached out even when I felt drained. I thought being there for everyone made me a good friend, neighbor, or family member. But over time, I realized something crucial. Not all relationships are created equal. Some nurture you, while others deplete you. This understanding didn't hit me overnight. It came through years of experience, some wonderful, some painful. There were moments when people I trusted hurt me, disappointed me, or drifted away. Family members whose paths diverged from mine, friends I lost touch with, colleagues whose actions blindsided me. All these experiences changed how I approached relationships. For a long time, I took these losses personally. I wondered, what did I do wrong? Could I have tried harder? But eventually I came to see things differently. People change, I've changed. And sometimes the kindest thing you can do for yourself and for others is to let go. One of the most liberating lessons I've learned is to focus on relationships that feel mutual. Healthy connections aren't one-sided. They require balance. Does this person support you as much as you support them? Do they listen as much as they speak? Do they bring light into your life, or do they take it away? Asking these questions helped me trim down my circle of connections. Yes, it grew smaller, but what remained was infinitely richer and more meaningful. The friends and family who stayed in my life are the ones who truly matter, the ones who understand me, accept me, and bring joy into my days. I no longer waste energy trying to hold on to connections that don't align with who I am today. Of course, nostalgia still creeps in sometimes. I think about old friends or family members whose lives took different directions. But instead of regret, I feel gratitude. Those relationships shaped me, taught me valuable lessons, and gave me memories I'll always cherish. They were part of my journey, even if they aren't part of my present. Here's my advice. Don't cling to relationships out of guilt or obligation. Relationships, like life itself, are meant to evolve. Focus on the ones that bring you peace and let go of those that don't. By doing so, you'll find yourself surrounded by love, authenticity, and the kind of connections that truly make life worth living. Trust becomes more complex. Trust is one of the most fragile yet vital aspects of any relationship. At this stage of life, I've realized that trust isn't something to give lightly anymore. It's a precious bond, and when it's broken, it leaves scars that take time, sometimes a lifetime, to heal. In my younger years, I trusted easily. I believed in the goodness of people and their intentions. I gave my heart, my time, and my loyalty freely. While this openness led to many beautiful relationships, it also brought its fair share of heartbreak. Over the years, I've been let down by people I never thought would hurt me. A friend who valued what I could do for them more than who I was. A family member whose choices created distance between us, and even a colleague who prioritized their gain over our shared vision. These experiences changed how I approached trust. They didn't make me bitter, but they did make me careful. Now, when someone enters my life, my first thought isn't, how can I connect with this person? Instead, I ask, what are their motives? It's not an easy way to live, but it's necessary. Yet I've come to understand that trust isn't just about others. It's also about trusting yourself. Learning to trust my instincts has been one of the most important lessons of my life. If something doesn't feel right, I no longer dismiss it as paranoia or overthinking. I've walked away from relationships that felt toxic, no matter how long they'd been part of my life. I've learned that protecting my peace is worth the difficult decision to let go. That said, trust is still possible. It's just different now. There are moments when people surprise me in the best way. A kind stranger who goes out of their way to help, a neighbor who checks in during bad weather. These small, genuine gestures remind me that trust, while delicate, isn't impossible to rebuild. The key is balance. It's about setting boundaries, not walls, and giving trust gradually to those who earn it over time. Surround yourself with people who show consistency, kindness, and respect. If you find yourself more guarded as you age, know that it's okay. Protecting your trust is a form of self-care. It doesn't mean you're closing yourself off. It means you're valuing yourself enough to be selective. And in this stage of life, that's exactly how it should be. The world has changed, and so have we. At 65, it's impossible not to notice how much the world has transformed. Life feels faster, busier, and more tech-driven than ever before. For all the progress and convenience, something valuable seems to have been left behind, a sense of warmth, simplicity, and connection. I grew up in a time when relationships felt genuine. Neighbors weren't just people who lived nearby, they were friends. We'd visit each other without needing an invitation, sharing coffee, stories, and laughter. Families gathered regularly, not because they had to, but because they wanted to. Time spent together felt natural and meaningful. Now, things are different. People are so busy chasing success, managing endless to-do lists, and keeping up with the fast pace of modern life that heartfelt conversations have become brief and rushed, squeezed into moments between notifications and distractions. Even family time feels strained, often limited by physical distance and competing demands. Technology, while a blessing in many ways, has played a role in this change. I appreciate being able to video call my grandchildren or reconnect with an old friend through social media. These tools make life easier, but they also create barriers. Nothing replaces the experience of sitting across from someone, feeling their presence, and hearing their voice unfiltered by a screen. Sometimes I miss the ease of simply being together without the interruptions of modern life. The constant hum of technology can feel overwhelming. Notifications, updates, and endless news make the world seem louder than ever. Paradoxically, even with all this connectivity, many of us feel more isolated. Genuine connections often feel harder to come by. This isn't about resisting change or longing for the past. Every era has its challenges, and every generation adapts. But at 65, I find myself valuing simplicity more than ever. I choose to step away from the noise and focus on what truly matters. Heartfelt conversations, meaningful relationships, and the quiet joy of shared moments. If you feel the same, it's okay to slow down. It's not about rejecting modern life, it's about choosing where to place your energy. By stepping back from the rush, we can protect the parts of life that feel authentic and real. In a fast-moving world, seeking simplicity isn't about giving up. It's about holding on to what matters most. Solitude isn't loneliness. Solitude and loneliness are two entirely different things, and this realization has been one of the most freeing lessons of my life. Loneliness is an ache, a feeling of emptiness that comes from longing for connection. Solitude, however, is a choice, a space for peace, reflection, and renewal. It's not something to fear, it's something to embrace. In solitude, I found clarity that's hard to achieve in the rush of daily life. There's a profound beauty in simple, quiet moments, sitting on the porch with a warm cup of tea, listening to the wind rustle through the trees, or watching the sun sink slowly below the horizon. These experiences don't just pass the time, they enrich it, reminding me of the small joys life has to offer. Reflecting on the past has also become a source of comfort during these quiet moments. Instead of dwelling on mistakes or missed opportunities, I focus on the lessons I've learned and the memories that bring me happiness. Solitude offers a space to look inward and make peace with the life I've lived, finding gratitude for the person I've become. It's important to note that embracing solitude doesn't mean withdrawing from people altogether. On the contrary, solitude has helped me appreciate my relationships even more. It's allowed me to focus on meaningful connections instead of maintaining relationships out of obligation or habit. When I spend time with loved ones, I'm present and engaged, savoring the moments we share. Solitude has also taught me to value myself. It's easy to get caught up in the idea that being surrounded by people defines your worth. But the truth is, your value doesn't come from the size of your social circle or the number of events on your calendar. It comes from within, from knowing who you are and what truly matters to you. If you've ever feared being alone, I encourage you to rethink that perspective. Solitude isn't a punishment, it's a gift. It's a chance to hear your own thoughts, focus on what brings you peace, and reconnect with yourself. The more you embrace it, the more you'll realize it's a source of strength and clarity. In the quiet of solitude, you can find balance and joy, letting go of distractions and pressures, and focusing instead on the life you want to live. Why I avoid people now? Avoiding people isn't about bitterness or resentment. It's about protecting my peace. Over the years, I've learned that not every connection is worth maintaining, and not every social obligation deserves my time or energy. This realization didn't come easily, but it has been one of the most important lessons of my life. For much of my younger years, I believed in always being available, I wanted to be the person others could count on, the reliable friend, the helpful neighbor, the supportive family member. While this brought me joy for a time, it also left me drained. I gave too much of myself to relationships that weren't mutual and situations that didn't align with my values. Life has a way of teaching us where to draw the line, even if it takes decades. I've experienced moments where my kindness was taken for granted or my time was treated as if it had no value. I ignored red flags, thinking loyalty meant staying even when it chipped away at my happiness. But now, I see things differently. I understand that avoiding certain people isn't selfish, it's self-preservation. There's peace in stepping away from toxic relationships and letting go of obligations that no longer serve me. I've traded the noise of constant social interactions for the quiet joy of meaningful solitude. Instead of stretching myself thin, trying to please everyone, I focus on a smaller, deeper circle of relationships, connections that bring light and fulfillment to my life. This doesn't mean I've shut myself off completely. The people who remain in my life are there because they genuinely care, not because they expect something from me. These relationships are rooted in mutual respect and understanding, and they feel effortless in the best way possible. There's no drama, no competition, just genuine connection. I also avoid people who bring negativity into my life, those who thrive on drama, constantly complain, or never ask how I'm doing. They no longer have space in my world. I've learned to prioritize my own well-being, even if that means saying no more often, or choosing solitude over company. Avoiding people doesn't mean giving up on humanity. It means valuing myself enough to protect my peace. It's about choosing relationships that uplift, not drain, and seeking moments that truly matter. Life is too short to waste on what doesn't bring joy, and in making this choice, I found a sense of freedom and happiness I didn't know was possible. Is this a shared experience? Have you ever found yourself wondering, am I the only one who feels this way? As I've grown older, I've asked myself that question many times, especially as I've become more selective about the people I let into my life. But the more I talk to others around my age, the more I realize this isn't just my story, it's a shared experience. Life has a way of teaching us hard but valuable lessons about relationships, priorities, and self-worth. For decades, I tried to meet everyone's expectations. I wanted to be the dependable friend, the supportive family member, the neighbor who always showed up. But at some point I realized the cost. I was pouring so much into others that I had little left for myself. As I've spoken with friends and peers, I've discovered a similar theme in their lives. Many of us reach a point where we no longer feel the need to be everything to everyone. We start choosing quality over quantity in relationships. The superficial connections that might have seemed important in our younger years lose their appeal. What we crave now are meaningful conversations, shared laughter, and relationships that feel genuine.